Hi there, my name is Belinda, or everybody calls me B Olsen. Welcome to my channel and welcome to my kitchen too. Today I'm going to be making, actually this week I'm focusing on sweets, and I'll be making something from the veggie sweet collection that is on the UK. It is called sweet potato doughnuts. So a wonderful way to incorporate a vegetable into something that's traditionally known as a sweet option. But obviously there's a couple of ingredients that you'll see we're going to include with this that it will make it sweet. Yes, sweet potato is sweet, but this will definitely be a great addition to your repertoire. If you haven't tried this recipe, let me know if you're going to give this a go, and give this a thumbs up and let me know that you've had a watch of this video. So let's not fluff around and let's try this recipe out. What I'm going to do is explain the first portion of this recipe because I've gone ahead and I've actually done the first part so that you don't have to wait around. So call this up on Cookidoo. It is on the UK platform, so make sure that if you are looking at your filters, you amend that and change that to be able to be accessible. If you need help with that, just touch base with me. Alright, so the first thing that we're going to do, press your start cooking, and this will guide you through the recipe of 150 grams worth of sweet potato that's been peeled and cubed. A little guideline is your little silver dial on the side. That's roughly the size that you're going to chop your sweet potato to, and then put that in and blitz this basically for 3 seconds, and that will be on speed number 5. So it won't be very mushy. It will just be most probably about that big, the size of most probably the old 5-cent piece in Australia. So scrape that down and add in 150 grams of your filter water or your normal tap water, and that will then get cooked for 12 minutes on 100 degrees Celsius and then speed 0.5. So this is all in your guided recipe. It's super easy to follow. What it does say on your screen is, in the meantime, preheat your oven to 170 degrees Celsius and then grease your donut tray. So that's what we're making today. Going to be 2 trays worth of our donuts, sweet potato donuts, and it will have an icing sugar on the top and also be sprinkled with some pistachio nuts. So super delicious option. So now that I have gone ahead and I have cooked that for 12 minutes, this is what it looks like, your sweet potato. And then it does say here, drain your cooked sweet potatoes through a sieve and then return to the mixing bowl. So that's what I'm going to be doing. Now I'm assuming it's meaning that it wants it to be super fine. If I have a look at that, I'm actually not even going to bother. I'm just looking at this now. I'm not even going to bother doing that because I'm quite happy with that texture. If you want to go ahead, just grab yourself a sieve and sieve that through. That will get rid of any lumps in there. I'm going to show you what I'm going to do in case, which is put your lid on. At the top left, you'll see your little home button. Touch on your speed and spin it up to speed number 8. It will take a bit of time to go up to that speed because it's very hot. You'll see those lights are flashing, and that's basically just making sure there's no bits. Making sure it's mash, basically. So I'm going to skip that part of doing the sieve. I don't want to have to wash the sieve. Alright, so let's get started with the next portion, and that is, before I do, I'm just going to show you, that's what it looks like. I'm happy with that. I'm just going to make sure that everything gets scraped to the bottom. And the next ingredient we're going to add is 40 grams worth of olive oil. So instead of having butter, we're using olive oil. So 40 grams, pour that in. And then the next ingredient we're going to add in is, it says granulated sugar, but I'm just using raw sugar. I'm not worried about the fine texture of the donut. I don't want it to be super, super fine, refined. I suppose that's the right word. So I'm just going to pour in 120 grams of my raw sugar. If you don't want it that sweet, you can reduce it if you want to. And then the next ingredient is whole milk. I'm using lactose free because my family don't have full cream cow's milk. So you put in the milk option you would like. So 200 grams. I love that I don't have to pull out the scale and it's already built in, the best thing. All right, then the next ingredient is 1 large egg. So I'm just going to pop that in. And the following ingredient is some vanilla bean paste. So it calls for 2 teaspoons. A great little tip for you, at the top right hand, there are 3 dots. They're horizontal. Just touch on that and you'll get the option in a mini menu where you can touch the scales. I was going to say squeeze the scales, but not squeeze the scales. So I'm basically going to do it 5 grams per teaspoon. So times 2, 5 times 2 is 10 grams. Just so I don't have to pull out a teaspoon. Can't be bothered washing. All right, next thing is our flavorants. So we started already with a vanilla extract. By the way, before we do that, we need to mix. I forgot. Speed 5 and 10 seconds. So super quick. And then we'll add some extra goodness. So my favorite, cinnamon. All right. You push your next, and that will go on over to your 200 grams of flour first before we add that little extra the flavorings. It's a wet mixture at the moment. So I'm going to pour in 200 grams of your plain flour, and we will also be adding baking powder as well. So 200 grams. There we go. And then 1.5 teaspoons of your baking powder. 1/2. Then next, 1.5 teaspoons of your ground cinnamon. So don't be shy with this. Mine's a little bit heat. The next ingredient is 1/2 teaspoon of your ground ginger. So I love this. This always reminds me of Christmas. All right. Then the last flavoring is 1/4 teaspoon of your nutmeg. I've grated a whole nutmeg there. Next is just a pinch of salt. It's up to you how much you want to put in. I usually will give it 2 of these little pinches like that. All right, and then mix that up. That will be 7 seconds on speed 4. And then it says scrape that down and redo that again for another 2 seconds. So just making sure there's nothing on the edge, and there's good reason for that. You'll see that the flour has gone up onto the side. So just a quick little spin to make sure that it is all mixed. And then I'm going to show you a fantastic tool that is so brilliant for any type of mixture like this. So let's just do this speed 4 for 2 seconds. We're going to be using the cake pen. Now, if you haven't seen what this is, it is a brilliant little device that helps you get in any nooks and crannies. So I'll explain to you what I mean. So just remove the top portion. What this will do now, so I'm going to turn this upside down, my lid, remove my measuring cup. I should have done it the other way around. All right. And then what you want to do is put that on top of your pen, your cake pen. I love this because it means it makes a lot less mess in your kitchen. So there's the dough that I'm going to pour straight into this. It most probably will need 2 batches worth because it asked for 2 donut trays, and I don't have 2, I just have the 1. All right, so I'm just going to pour this in. You'll see, I don't know if you'll be able to see that. It doesn't matter if it messes on the lid because you can just, obviously it's going to make sure that it is not messing on your countertop. let's just see, it might actually all fit in. Let's just pour that in. Alright, so who is a fan of donuts? Hello! Yes, this is a fantastic recipe, including some sweet potato into your diet. People won't even know that it's in here. And I'm smelling this. I just smell those spices. They smell really, really good. Alright, so I'm just going to clean this up. Then what we're going to do is add the rest of the lid, or add the lid. And you'll see on the recipe, it just says here, divide that between your donut tray. So all you need to do, I love this little device. It's so good. I'll show you how easy it is to use. So make sure your mixture goes down. There we go. And then all you do is squeeze in that little circle like that. All right. So much easier than having to try and do it with a teaspoon and then mess all happening. You can see a couple of little flakes of the potatoes in there, the sweet potatoes, but I'm okay with that. I don't mind that. I think if you have really, really tiny children, they might be a little bit suspicious, but I think it should be fine. I'll let you know what the family think, but they know that I hide vegetables and all sorts of things, so. Alright, so that looks good. Now, what you need to do is bake this at 170 degrees Celsius, and that will be for 20 to 24 minutes. Then what you want to do is make sure they are golden on top. So it will be then cooked sufficiently. As I say, this will give me another batch worth. Then what you want to do in the meantime, it tells you on the recipe that you want to prepare the next part. So those, I'm going to actually pop that into the oven now, excuse me. And I just want to make sure I've got my time on 20 minutes. I usually do it on the lesser amount. And then it says clean your bowl. So I haven't done that. I've got 2 bowls here. So if you have the 1 bowl, that's okay. But obviously I'm going to show you what the next stage is. And it's going to ask for nuts. Now, if you are allergic to nuts, just eliminate this portion of it. But if you love your nuts, it calls for 30 grams worth of pistachio nuts. Now, just to let you know, this part is going to be the topping on top of those donuts. What you do want to do is make sure that once they are baked, they come out of the oven. It says on the recipe to use a knife to remove them, but I wouldn't. I would use a little spatula, something that's soft and flexible and can get underneath those donuts. The knife will just make a massive dent inside your donut tray, so don't use the knife. Then what you want to do is remove that, pop that on a rack, and then you're going to have this part of the recipe that you would have prepped. So 30 grams worth of pistachio nuts. I've just gone ahead and put my lid on top, weighed in those 30 grams. It's not a lot of nuts. If you want to change it and you don't like pistachio nuts, you can try pecan nuts, walnuts, whatever your preference is. So what you want to do then is blitz those up. This is 3 seconds on speed 7. And then it says remove them and set that aside on a plate, because what you're going to do is actually dip your donuts into those nuts. So there we go, some nice big pieces. All right, then it just tells you to mix up. So I went ahead, and the reason I did it in that separate jug is because I went ahead and I did my own, I made my own icing sugar. So I used the raw sugar, popped that inside my jug, and this is 4 tablespoons worth plus a little bit extra. And then blitz that up for 10 seconds on speed 10, and this has made my icing sugar. So it calls then for 4 tablespoons of the icing sugar and 2 teaspoons of boiling water. So boil that together, put that together in a small bowl and mix that up. So I'm not going to worry about the boiling water. I'm just going to mix it and add in my normal tap water. And I'll explain why. Because usually the boiling water will actually make it that the icing sugar will melt. For me personally, I would love it to not melt because I want to have the icing sugar on top. So on this recipe it says brush the tops of your donuts with the icing and then dip it into your nuts. But I know my family, they love to see the icing, so I'm not going to actually do that. I'm not going to use the boiled water. I'm going to use just normal tap water. And you will notice, I don't know if you'll be able to see it on the screen, but because I don't have white sugar, I'm not using white sugar, it's actually going to be a little bit caramelized, the brown color, because raw sugar is not bleached. So that's why it doesn't look like white icing sugar, but that's okay. In our family, we prefer not to have white icing sugar, or sugar, I should say, and this is our preference. So I'll just show you, and then I'll explain what I do, and what I will do is include a picture so you can see the finished results once it's come out the oven and I have decorated it. So this is the icing sugar that I have made. So what I will do is, once I've pulled them out and they've cooled down just slightly, I will then dip them in the icing sugar, and then I will put them on, or dip them into the nuts, and then that will be the little special that the family can have later on after dinner tonight. So that's their little sweet treat for the week. So I hope this video has helped you get some hints and tips about your Thermomix, and also have a look at how you can change up some recipes as well. You don't have to stick and specify, just go exactly with what the guided recipe is. You can always experiment and choose what you guys like in your family. So don't forget, if you have any questions, please let me know. I'll be happy to walk you through this recipe. As I say, it's a Cookidoo recipe. Have a look for it online on your Cookidoo subscription. If you have any questions about that, please feel free to contact me directly. I'll be happy to help you. So encouraging you to share some food, delicious food, with your family and friends. And if anybody would love to purchase a Thermomix, let them get in touch with me. Have a great afternoon, everybody. You take care. Bye.